Hey everyone, welcome to Relation Shots, our weekly Q&A where we try to give you real answers to tough questions. 7 questions in 7-ish minutes. Let's go.
Oh.
We're going to make it one time.
Oh, I don't think
know
this
how
is
it
the time.
helps if I talk fast.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
My partner and I have a great friendship, but there is no romance between us. I'm not sure if either of us even feel that way towards each other or if we are more just friends. Can we get the romance back? It was there when we were dating, but seems to be gone now that we are married.
Oh, well, the easy answer is what did you do when you were dating that made you feel romantic, and what did you not do now? So some of those things that you enjoyed at the beginning may have stopped. So that would be the first place to stop. Start. Either one. Start. I knew it was one of those 2 S words. So I would start there. Is there some things that you used to do that you're not doing anymore? Maybe you don't feel like they're dating you like they used to, or prioritizing you, or they don't put any effort into spending time with you. Learn each other's love languages, emotional needs, try to fulfill some of those and see if you can get some of the spark back. Would also ask if I had you here, if you guys stopped having sex, if you stopped going on dates, some of the stuff that's going to increase your feelings toward one another. Do you touch? Because touch helps release dopamine, even though Jill doesn't like the touch, but we like it. So that's my answer. Next.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I really messed up with the girl I should have ended up with. Is there any way I can get her back?
I don't know. Is she a glutton for punishment? She may take you back. I don't know how you messed up to answer that question, but it's worth a shot. So if you want to try to go back and say, here are the things let me reiterate. If they're dating somebody else, leave them alone. Or they're married, leave them alone. So if they're single, then here's my answer.
Okay.
Go back to them, articulate exactly what you feel like you did that was wrong. Apologize for those things and see if they have any interest in starting a relationship with you again. Got any better ways? You're the game player. How would you go about trying to get them back?
I would do it really sneaky.
Okay, never mind. Next question.
Okay. I am a Christian married to a non-believer. I found God after getting married. What should I do now?
Well, Christian, you should read the book of 1 Corinthians, and Paul tells you that if they'll stay with you, you should stay with them because you don't know if your faith and your ways may win them to faith at some point. So I think that's the easy biblical answer. If you're a Christian, you want to try to follow God's best for your life. I would say if you can't find agreement in the areas of faith, try to find as many other areas where you share similar values, focus on those. So meaning every time you sit down to have a conversation about the Bible and Jesus is probably going to cause conflict. So try winning them with the way you live with them in an understanding way, extending grace, but then also find things that you do have commonality around and major in those areas and see if God doesn't do a work in their heart.
That's good. My wife and I don't see eye to eye on missing church for our kids' sporting events. I feel like we committed to a team and are letting the team down if we don't show up. However, I do understand the frequency has increased and we are missing church more often than we would like to. What should we do?
You need to decide what's most important. I mean, at the end of the day, I would finish this season because you've committed to it. I agree with that. And then sit down and say, what do we prioritize and value most? If it's being in church and the kids' sporting activities are taking you away from something you value, then I think you got to determine where you're going to put your time and effort and money and come up with a new plan. Get them in a different sport or find a church that meets on Saturday night. If it's Sunday morning, it's taking you away. I mean, there's so many church options these days where, find a lot of churches are online right now anyway. So can you plug into a small group some other times throughout the week that get the services, online? I think there's lots of options, but it always comes back to a values and priority issue, and you need to reevaluate what you value most and then be about it.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's for a season. You too. You just have to remember, just because you're not going to church all regularly right now doesn't mean it'll be that way forever, because your kids are important too. And so if there's a sport that they're pursuing, we went through that where cheer was every Sunday. And so, but we went to church on Saturday night. So I think you're right. Just compromise because.
I think so. I think their fear is that the one spouse that doesn't seem to be missing can get in a routine where it's like, we don't even really need church anymore.
Right.
And so if that's your fear, talk about that as well.
Okay. So what are some good questions to ask when getting to know someone either before the first date or on the first date?
Before the first date.
Well, like probably they mean online.
Oh,
Do you know,
yeah.
if
Like,
they're...
are you crazy? Are you...
Well, because you can talk to people before you date them. Like you even said that
That's
before
true.
that
That's
you're supposed
true.
to.
That's true.
Yeah.
I think good questions are always so I think in categories. So one category that's really important is community. So I'm going to ask questions around who are their friends, what are some of the things they like to do with their friends, how many close friends do they have, family, are you close to your family? So you get an idea of, does this person have a number of close relationships and people in their life? If they don't, to me that's a red flag, because that means they either cut people off and don't know how to resolve conflict, which may be a problem for you, or they really don't like accountability. And so at some point, if you don't like accountability, people are going to quit wanting to be in your life. So I think community and any questions that help you uncover their family, their friendships, some of that kind of stuff. I think even if they're willing to divulge past relationships, hey, when was the last relationship you're in? Tell me a little bit about that. How'd it go? How'd it end? Now, people are going to lie a lot, which is why over time you get the real answers. I would want to ask, what do they value in life? You know, what if you had some, so you can ask questions like, if you had $10,000, what would you do with it? Because you're going to get some insight into what they would prioritize with some extra free spending money. Or you may ask questions, if you could do anything for a career, what would it be? So when you ask kind of those if anything questions, you really get insight into what they would prefer to be doing and what they would do in those areas. So that can kind of help you maybe see what their values are, because their time and their money and their energy are going to go towards the things they value most. So that gives you good insight into what I think are two of the biggest categories: values and community. What's so funny? Did I use a word over?
No. I was just thinking like, what if you knew all of this information like before we got married? Like we probably,
I know, it's so
we would
crazy.
have never gotten
yeah,
married.
who knows? Yeah.
You would have been like, I'm out.
But we're doing good.
No, I'm not saying that. I think that's
didn't.
yeah. Okay.
No, I'm saying half this stuff we didn't even think about.
No, we never thought about it at all.
Here was my evaluation of my wife and moving into marriage. She's cool and she's hot and I like hanging out with her. That's probably someone I could be married to. That was about the depth of my thought.
Wow.
And it worked out. Look at it. I'm not recommending that.
No.
You should add some stuff to that.
Yeah, because there's like all those years in between that were
all the
not
crappy
good.
crappy first 10 years to try to find our rhythm and what works for us. So that's why we're helping you avoid that.
Yes. Okay. I don't want to be my husband's mom, but it doesn't seem like he's very grown up in a lot of the decisions he makes for our family. Is there anything I can do to guide him without being considered controlling?
Well, you got to be sly with your influence, number one.
Yes.
The one thing that I always recommend is trying to get him and the two of you involved in good community. Basically, how do you get good men around him that you know will be able to influence him in the decisions that he makes? And I think that, obviously if you're like, go talk to Dave because Dave can help you, he's not going to go for it. If you're like, hey, let's get involved in a couples group, or what do you think about going to dinner with so-and-so couple? So find people that you think do make good decisions, that are more mature, that could help them. And that's where you can use some influence to kind of say, let's hang out with them. And then if need be, at some point, you can say to the wife of some couple you're hanging out with, hey, my husband really struggles in this area. Do you think you could tell your husband, don't tell him I told you, but maybe he could help guide him and ask some questions in that. So I think trying to use your influence that way is usually more effective than trying to do it directly.
I agree.
I like when you agree. Makes me feel good.
When we talk about this stuff, you're usually right.
But when just everyday life, I'm wrong a lot.
Yeah.
It's even weird.
It's true.
That I could be right about this, but wrong about
because this is what your focus is on. You're good at that. You're good at this because you have a lot of practice. Remember?
I feel like this doesn't impact you, which is why you don't mind me being right. But in our
it does
stuff,
impact me.
How?
I mean, it just does.
Okay.
No, because it's like otherwise our marriage would not be good.
This is why counseling doesn't always work at home. There's a Bible verse that say Jesus. What does it say? A prophet's not without honor in his own hometown. Yeah. Okay. Next question.
But like when you would preach and stuff, like I would listen. You were always talking to me. You would use those opportunities.
She did accuse me of that.
He did.
She'd be
always,
like, "Did you just do
time.
that one for me?" I'm like, "I do not have that much energy to put together a sermon just for you."
It just so happened that it would be related to something though that happened.
The Lord does what the Lord does. Next question.
This is the last one?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
We made it.
So, my boyfriend and I have been together for 2 years. We are total opposites. I am outgoing and he is more reserved. He's basically the opposite of every guy that I've ever dated. Part of me loves this about him, but I'm also afraid that I will get bored with him over time because he is the safe choice. But I also don't want to make the mistake of letting him go if he is actually what is best for me in the long term.
Ooh, that's tough.
Deep. That's good.
This is where I always say, choose your poison. There's a flip side to every coin. So you pick the outgoing person, you're going to love all those aspects of it, but whatever the opposite of that is going to annoy you. You pick the quiet person, you're going to like that aspects, but then it may be more boring, right? So take the exciting person, that'll be fun until it annoys you and he doesn't want to slow down, and take the safe, quiet person, that'll be great until, so I think every relationship has, if I choose X, I get Y with it.
Right.
If I choose Z, I get A with it. I mean, it just...
But people also change so much too. I mean, like, we've changed so much. Like, I would say that you were the safe choice for me because I always dated guys that were not nice. And so for me, you were like the safe, maybe boring choice. For real, like, he was kind of boring. You were kind of boring. I mean, you were funny, but you were kind of a little bit boring.
I've pretty much been super fun my whole life.
Okay, you've gotten more fun though. Like,
I've always been fun.
Okay, but you were.
But I'm laid back at
You were the
times,
nice
too, so
guy,
I'm
though.
quiet.
Okay, so that's the difference. Is I always dated guys that weren't nice; they were jerks, and you were like a nice guy, so that was safe. But it also kind of bored me.
I prefer the word healthy. I was a healthy guy, which means you treat somebody well. But anyway,
That's true. Okay,
yeah. I'm just saying
it's true, but like it's. I mean, you were.
Yeah.
I would
so
say,
where were you going with that?
my point is that people change. So it's
change.
like I think it's okay. Like if for her to say I don't want to be bored because it's the safe choice, it's like sometimes the safe choice is going to be the best choice because, I mean, for me, I feel like you were the safe choice, and I'm so thankful that I went with the safe choice.
Yeah. So I just think when you choose, know both sides of what you choose. So there's this idea of playing the movie forward, right? Henry Cloud talks about this in one of his books, 9 Simple Things Everybody Must Know About Love and Life or something. But he says play the movie forward, which means this person's personality, think about what that looks like as a parent. Think about what that looks like when you want to go hang out with a bunch of friends. Think about what that looks like when you want to invite everybody over for a party at your house, but they're not really into it. So you're going to have to make compromises in they may not want to go out as much as you. They may not want people over the house as much as you. But you compromise on some of that things. And so I think you just got to look at all the categories you can remotely think of and say, what does this personality look like here? What does it look like here? What does it look like here? And just know what you're getting into because you're not going to change them. And if you try to change that, then you also lose what you like. We've talked about this with our parenting differences and frustrations with parenting. So one of the things that Jill loves about me is I'm laid back, I'm easygoing, I'm not high conflict, right? That's what makes our marriage great.
Right.
But she doesn't like that I'm like that with the kids, so she wants me to be different with the kids than I am with her, right?
I just want you to be a little bit strict.
Yeah, so she wants, but some, and I get it, and there's areas that I got to grow in and all that kind of stuff. But if I was exactly how she wanted me to be with the kids, with her in the marriage,
oh no,
then it's going to feed into her rejection issues, and we're going to have a tumultuous marriage.
Yeah, that's fair.
So I think you can't say, well, I love this aspect about you, but only over here, and then over here I want you to be different. You got to know what you have over here also translates to here, to here, to here, and then at the end of the day, you got to decide. Is that who I want to spend time with?
You've never explained it like that before to me in the parenting.
I have.
No, if
I've
you had
said those exact words.
If you had, I think I might have
think,
accepted
I
it a
think
little
the
bit
words,
better.
Well, I think the words I actually said to you was, if you, and this was probably in a fight, if you want me to be like you want me to be with the kids, and I'm with you that same way, we wouldn't be married today.
I don't remember that
yeah.
conversation at all, conveniently.
Selective memory. But that would be
Whatever.
my answer to that one, which is you got to choose what you want. Choose the fun guy, and there's going to be some downside to that in these areas. Choose the not as fun, safe guy. You're going to love his quiet nature and some of the things he brings, but you're going to be frustrated with other things. So you got to, that's why I say values is most important. Those personality things are on top of values, but if you have solid values, I think you can compromise. Because I like being around people more than you do. Mm-hmm. So I'd have people over at the house all the time if I had it my way, but that's not her desire. So we don't do it all the time, but we do it sometimes. And then I would like to go out more than she does. So sometimes she'll say, let's go out. And other times she'll be like, why don't you go with your friends? Right?
You make me sound really boring. Am I that boring?
No, you're fun. I'm just saying. That's how we navigate the differences, right?
I know, but I feel like it's just evolved. Like, I feel like, I mean, you've always been outgoing and stuff, but I used to be more outgoing, you know?
Yeah, but as those things change, you compromise and
Yeah, and
adjust.
I'm glad that you compromise.
Yeah, and you do too.
I do.
Like she doesn't
Yeah,
like
that's true.
sometimes she'll be like, "Hey, why don't we go out to eat?" And I'm like, "Oh, cool," because I'll do that all the time, but she often doesn't want to, and so she knows it's important to me, so she says, "Let's go." So you do that sometimes.
It's true.
Compromise. Awesome. Well, there's your answers to 7 questions. Hopefully those were helpful. Consider sharing it with a friend if you think you know somebody in the boat of one of those questions. If we can help you out in any area of your relationship, let us know. There's a whole bunch of resources in the description area below. And until next time, we'll see you back here, right here, there, everywhere. It's a terrible ending.
That's a terrible ending.
Right here on Relationshots.